All right, first and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh Shai, Bahashim, Rakak, Wadash. All right, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Salutations to you brothers pushing this word in truth and sincerity. As you can see on the screen, we're at this article popped up, Opposite Zones. All right, OppositeZones.com. The Great Depression 2.0 is here. 90% of Americans are worried about the cost of groceries, and it will only get worse and worse. Okay, so that's the forecasters. That's basically that's the headline. All right, that's the underheading. All right, and that's what's projected for it to get worse and worse. Okay, it hasn't even begun. Okay, let's go to the book of Matthew, shall we? Does it always do that? Oops. Right, this is only the beginning of the sorrows to come. All right, the many sorrows, the many great miseries, as the scriptures have foretold, that in the latter times shall come to them that dwell upon the earth. Matthew 24:8, it says, Miles 34, it says, And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am the anointed, and shall deceive many. All right, so especially in these times, you're going to have people that's going to claim themselves to be the anointed. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, all right, which we're in the midst of right now. Yahushua spoke of these times that we're in now, right now, indeed. It says, See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Right? See, he said, See that ye be not troubled, okay, agitated in mind. All right. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes. This earthquake today, right, in Turkey, 6.1. It says earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Okay, so this is the beginning of sorrows. All right, this is just the beginning. 86% of Americans feel stress about cost of groceries, and many people are starting to really flip out emotionally. Here's another article by Michael Snyder. All right, so you have people flipping out emotionally because they can't deal with the day to day. All right, they're toiling, they're working hard, and they're still in need. Okay, go back to the article. Great Depression 2.0 says in the last few years, we got a small taste of how quickly America can turn into a failed state. All right, going back to code, like brothers like to say, Kobe with the jump shot. We're speaking code. All right, because YouTube will take your videos down. Okay, it says what started as a slow motion decline has now become a full speed crisis. This is what he's writing. Opposed Zone is writing this. This is how people feel. According to Forbes, almost 90% of American adults say they're stressed about the cost of groceries as food prices surge and staples like poultry, ground beef, and eggs experience the harshest spikes. We are witnessing an economic gamble colliding with a perfect storm of policy blunders, fragile supply chains, agricultural weaknesses, massive unemployment, and AI automation replacing millions of workers across the country at breakneck speed. At breakneck speed, right? It says if you notice your grocery bills climbing with every trip, you're not imagining it. The pain is real and worse, it's only just beginning. Okay, so on the horizon, it's not looking good. It says behind these skyrocketing prices lies a lethal cocktail. The global elites, all right, so their hand is in it, dedicated to evil, and the most corrupt political leaders who have deliberately engineered unstable supply chains, unpredictable agricultural output, and a collapsing economic foundation that no political spin can hide. The early warning signs are everywhere, pointing towards a winter of higher costs, shrinking supply, and for millions, the first taste of outright scarcity in their lifetimes. Inflation above 30% on food and essentials is stripping the working class of its purchasing power. While wages stagnate and savings bleed value month after month, what once bought a week's worth of groceries now barely fills a cart. Damn. And this is what we coming into, man. All right, this is what we coming into. Got a precept. Let's go to the book of Second Ezra. Oops. Second Ezra 15. Around the, let me see. Yeah, right here, around 15 and 19. 15 and 19, it says, a man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. This is the recipe, man. All right, this is how it goes down, man. You have 86% of Americans feel stressed about groceries, and they're jumping on TikTok and Twitter. You see these prices of pork or your bacon. What is this? Probably a 16 ounce. We got regular 8 ounces, and you got 16 ounces. This is about double. And this is like a family size. This is what you need to feed a family. All right. Imagine having more than 5 kids. You know, people losing it, man. People out here losing it. Why can't you give my dad a job? That was on picket lines back then, right? You're gonna be on the app waiting for a response. You're gonna put everybody on apps. And you want to get services through the government, you gotta go through the app. You gotta go through the website. You know, you deal with the AI. This is the same economic forces that triggered the 1929 crash are back and worse. What took weeks to unravel then can now collapse globally in hours. And that's why this thing is gonna move quick. Right, the MOTB system, because they had the infrastructure in place. They put their infrastructure is already set in place. Right, the readers are equipped, right, to read that MOTB on people's hand, and if not already, it's nothing to upgrade it. So this thing can ravel quickly. It can unravel in within hours. You know, start in the Asian markets and come over here to the Western markets by morning, and you wake up to fear and dread. You know, scriptures speak of when the keepers of the house shall tremble. It said, despite Wall Street's smug headlines and government's press conferences boasting of resilient job numbers, the August 1st jobs report exposed the truth, slowing GDP, which that's gross domestic product, growth, rising consumer prices. So consumer prices are rising. That means the price that people pay in the stores, right, to consume goods and services. It says in dangerous volatility in food costs over the past years alone, grocery prices have exploded. Not to mention your foodborne illnesses in these grocery stores. All right, this is a season that will deliver not only freezing temperatures but crushing utility bills. Yeah, the price of utility bills are going up. Right, so all of this stuff is set to uh, come to fruition in the wintertime. And what is it? We're in August now, so you have September, October, November, December. Within 4 months, it's starting to get colder. All right, then you got November. You have food prices. So you'll see what happens in November with Thanksgiving, which this is a national holiday for Babylon. Right, then you have Christmas. All right, which is a consumer season where people are spending money on their children, spending money on their women. You know, and you have a lot of women that are single with children, right? So this is hey, look, man, we're coming into some times. All right, the scriptures we just read it in Second Ezra 15:18. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. All right, great tribulation. Now we go into debt, delinquencies, and desperation. It says even President Trump has warned that America may be heading into a 1929 style depression, and this is not political theater. Household debt now stands at 18.2 trillion, a figure larger than the GDP of China. Credit card delinquencies have hit a 12-year high. Regional banks are failing faster than during the 2008 crisis. The wealth gap is now wider than at any time since the Great Depression, and the richest 1% hoarding more wealth than the bottom 90% combined. So you have a transfer of wealth. It went from the rich, went from the poor to the rich. All right, and they kick the can down the road, so you're in a situation, you're in a crisis that's going to be worse than 2028. 2008, the 2008 crisis. The artificial boom that will end in a crash. Wall Street is drunk on AI mania, pumping billions into what may be the largest speculative bubble in American history. Nvidia and other tech darlings have valuations so inflated they defy financial logic. When this bubble bursts, it will not be the billionaires who suffer. It will be retirees watching their pensions evaporate and middle class families watching their savings evaporate overnight. Yeah, because now money has to go into this artificial intelligence to keep the Ponzi scheme going. And when Wall Street crashes, because they say they overvalued stocks, so when it crashes, these people that have their pensions, their 401ks, their savings, they might have insurance policies, IULs, index universal life insurance policies that are tied to the performance of the stock market. When these stocks, fall, when the bubble bursts, because it's like there's always bubbles, all right? There's always bubbles in the economy where you're gonna have the elites, they're gonna be making money, and the people that are putting their money in the stock market, all right, thinking it's gonna grow, their financial advisors telling them, to invest. You got Jake now. Jake is investing, telling Jake to invest. But when this bubble bursts, they're gonna lose it. It says the industry base is dead, and that was the plan. America once mighty industry base has been gutted, not by accident, but by design. We shipped our factories overseas, sold our manufacturing sold for cheaper goods, and became dependent on hostile or unstable foreign powers for our most basic needs. The cheap goods came at a high cost. The annihilation of the middle class, the rise of permanent underclass, and a wealth concentration so obscene that the top 0.1% now claim nearly 25% of all pre-tax income. Wow. So this is done by crony capitalism, man. Backdoor deals. Putting your puppets in. Esau putting his puppets in. And they're passing legislation that's really not benefiting your average citizen. All right. That's why people gonna flip. It's a lot. Yeah. Let me get out of this. Looking for my charger. Charger. Says federal government on life support. This is shaping up to be a very, very interesting wintertime season. Pretty much it's pretty slow in the summertime, as far as the economics, but you really see things really shifting towards fall, coming into the new year. All right. It says the federal debt has exploded to 36.2 trillion, with interest payments now approaching 1 trillion annually, more than Medicare or defense spending. By 2035, interest alone will consume over 22% of the federal revenue. Yet Washington remains paralyzed, consumed with prolific theater, culture wars, and endless investigations, while the economic heart of the nation stops beating. Yeah, should say that Washington remains paralyzed with distractions, right? It says while this collapse will be worse than 2019, I mean Shalaki, what am I reading? 1929. In 1929, bank runs took weeks to spread. In 2025, a single rumor on social media can destroy a bank in 2 days. Yeah, you have panics, people spreading. You got your money such and such bank, Capital One Bank, you got your money in M&T Bank, you got your money in, any of these banks. All of a sudden everybody running to the bank to get their money out, trying to get online and transfer their money out of their accounts and all of that. Break the system down. You can, or now all of a sudden you try to log into your account, try to log into the app. The app is crashed. Can't log in. Run to the ATM. Next thing you know, everybody at the ATM. It's lines at the ATM. Cars at the ATM. People fighting at the ATM. ATM machines running out of money everywhere. Just confusion and chaos, man. You know, it's the time we in. That's the time we coming into. It says families knew how to grow food, repair tools. Yeah, back then people knew how to do that and survive without constant imports. Today, most Americans are utterly dependent on fragile global supply chains and digital banking systems. When those fail, there is no plan B. This will not be a soft landing. Grocery shelves will empty in days. Prices will jump overnight. Jobs will vanish faster than unemployment offices can process claims. And in the chaos, crime, unrest, and political extremism will rise. I'm going to read up a little bit. 2 Ezra 15:14, it says, Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another with swords in their hands. For there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. A man shall desire to go into a city, and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the cities shall be troubled, and the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods, because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. All right. It says the coming winter will break America's illusions. The warning signs are not subtle. They are screaming. We have entered the Great Depression 2.0, and the coming months will drag America into a reality it is unprepared for. Hunger, cold, and the social fabric tearing apart at the seams. You can borrow your way through this. You cannot, it says you cannot borrow your way through this. You cannot coupon clip your way through this. When the foundations of food, fuel, and shelter are shaken, survival is no longer about saving money. It is about securing the basics before they vanish. All right? And that's what it's going to come out. That's what it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to the basics. It's going to come down to the basics. And you're going to have to secure the basics. The things that these people take for granted on a day-to-day basis, all right, are going to become daily necessities. Yeah, daily necessities for them. The things that they take for granted, like toilet paper, tampons, Kotex. You got these women, they come on YouTube, they can put up these videos, even dudes, man, y'all can put up videos and whatnot, all right, but you don't cherish the basics, the necessities, all right, you squander them, all right, and guess what, it's going to come a time where, just like, you seen, the movie, with Denzel Washington, what's the movie called? He got that, what is that called? Damn, what's that Denzel Washington movie about the, can't think of it right now. What's that movie? It's not the road. Man, I forgot that movie, man. But hey, he was like, he was trading for some wet wipes. and like you get in a little restaurant, the little to wipe your hands, wet wipes. People make light of those things. In those times, people gonna wish they had those. You know, it says because when the shelves are bare, when the power fails, when the job is gone, there will no warning shot. It says there will be no warning shot, only the cold hard reality that you are out of time. Right? Because these things are coming. All right, the storm is coming, fierce, merciless, and without pity. You cannot stop the Great Depression 2.0, but you can decide right now whether you will be one of its first casualties or one of the few who endure the winter ahead, those who prepare. So this is what this guy, he wrote. But we can use some of these, examples, and we can tie it to the scriptures. Okay, we can tie these things to the scriptures. Matter of fact, before I end the video, I want to go to the book of Spirit been jumping on me. I just read this. This is Jeremiah 16. I'm gonna start at the top because we warn you, so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans of what's coming. All right, just as Jeremiah warned Jake, and he was told to warn, all right, the house of Judah, all right, of the Babylonians, and what the Most High was going to put the spirit on the Babylonians to do unto Israel. And the word of the Lord came also unto me, saying, Thou shalt not take thee a wife, neither shalt thou have sons or daughters in this place. For thus saith the Lord concerning the sons and concerning the daughters that are born in this place, and concerning their mothers that bare them, and concerning their fathers that begat them in this land. They shall die of grievous deaths, they shall not be lamented, neither shall they be buried, but they shall be as dung upon the face of the earth, and they shall be consumed by the sword and by famine, and their carcasses shall be meat for the fowls of heaven and for the beasts of the earth. Now, mind you, this is Jeremiah. The word of the Lord came unto him, telling him this, telling these things, right? That they're going to die of grievous deaths. They're going to be as dung, meaning where they die, that's where they're going to be. All right, meat for the fowls of heaven. All right, the birds are going to be eaten of their flesh. All right, the birds are going to be fed of their flesh. All right, fed of the beasts. The beasts of the field are going to feed upon the dead of Israel. All right, how much more so in these times that we coming into a time of trouble, such as never since there was a nation. It says, For thus saith the Lord, enter not into the house of mourning, neither go to lament, nor bemoan them, for I have taken my peace from this people, saith the Lord, even loving kindness and mercies. So he told Jeremiah, when you see these things, don't mourn for them, don't lament, don't bemoan them. All right, the Most High, he taking his peace away from these people, right? Because these are the same people, especially coming into the days that we coming into, the same people that was talking shit, all right, on the comment boards on the website, on the social media about this ministry, about this doctrine of Yahweh Bashim Al Shah, the gathering of his men that believe, that are anticipating his coming, which is the marriage, all right, the reconciliation of Israel back to the Heavenly Father through the revealing of Yahweh Shah. That's why the scriptures speak of the men that are happy at his coming, because the world is not going to be happy, all right, at the coming of Yahweh Shah. All right, the world is not going to be happy at the coming of Yahweh Shah, but the men of the Lord who believe in Yahweh Shah before these things even took place, all right, the miseries that we're foretelling to come in these coming days, the men that believed from the beginning since they heard this gospel, which the gospel is the good news, they're going to be happy at his coming, all right? They're going to be happy. They're going to be glad. Right? They're going to call upon the name of the Heavenly Father. All right, and be delivered through the tribulation. All right, but the rest, it says both the great and the small shall die in this land. They shall not be buried, neither shall men lament for them, nor cut themselves, nor make themselves bald for them. So it's not going to be a proper burial, proper lamentation for the dead in these coming days. All right. It says, thou shalt not also go to the house of feasting to sit with them to eat and drink. Matter of fact, Shalakia. Verse 7. It says, neither shall men tear themselves for them in mourning. There you go. It says, to comfort them for the dead. Neither shall men give them the cup of consolation to drink for their father or for their mother. Right? Thou shalt not also go into the house of feasting to sit with them to eat and to drink. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, the power of Israel, behold, I will cause to cease out of this place in your eyes and in your days the voice of mirth, the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom, the voice of the bride. All right. See, that's what the Most High is going to bring. All right. People used to certain things, taking place, festive activities, mirth, sport. Hey, football season coming up. All right. What's to say the Most High had the Spirit of the Lord, all right, the words of the Lord come to effect. All right. Just completely ruin the sports season, because people are afraid to, go to these events. These events can't take place. Right? Anything can happen, man. And that's what the Lord said. He said, for thus saith the Lord of hosts, the power of Israel, behold, I will cause to cease out of this place in your eyes. And back then that took place in Jerusalem, right? And in your days, all right, now in these times it take place within Israel in the midst of Babylon, all right. The voice of mirth, the voice of gladness, the voice of the bridegroom, the voice of the bride, the marriage, all right. And did not Yahweh Shah say, as in the time of Noah, when they were eating and they were drinking and they were given into marriage, all right, they were married and given into marriage, all right. So it's going to be like that, okay. The Most High is going to take the voice of mirth and the voice of gladness, right, out of Babylon, all right, and out of the midst of Israel, in the midst of Babylon. All right, so we're in the days of the end. I just wanted to, you read this article. The Great Depression 2.1 is here. And I'll put a link, to this article in the description box. If you wanted to read, I pretty much read most of it, but I just wanted to use this, as a topic and, bring out a few scriptures, especially that Jeremiah 16. Matter of fact, let me finish reading a little bit of it. It says, might be a little bit more. Yeah, here it goes. It's a little bit more. It says, and it shall come to pass when thou shalt show this people all these words, and they shall say unto thee, wherefore have the Lord pronounced all this great evil against us? All right, so when it comes to pass, all right, it's going to be shown and look, you've done worse than your fathers. Like, look, it says, wherefore have the Lord pronounced all this great evil against us? Or what is our iniquity? Or what is our sin that we have committed against the Lord our power? Then shalt thou say unto them, because your fathers have forsaken me, saith the Lord, and have walked after other gods, and have served them, and have worshipped them, and have forsaken me, and have not kept my law. And ye have done worse than your fathers. For behold, ye walk every one after the imagination of his evil heart. that they may not hearken unto me. Right? They basically done after their own evil heart. All right, and they won't hearken unto the Lord. So the Lord, that's why the Lord gonna bring forth judgment. Take away the mirth, take away the gladness out of this society. All right, and winter is coming. You know, remember what Kevin Samuels said. You know the words Kevin Samuels say. Winter is coming. You know, and winter is the harshest time of the year. All right, a lot of times, a lot of people, you know, if you made it through the winter, you know, you was considered strong in the pack, like strong amongst the tribe, right? But winter is coming. You know, you gonna have price shocks. You know, just like they say, buckle your seatbelt. You know, fasten your seatbelt. You know, we'll see if this is the year. You know, but every year there's anticipation of it getting worse and worse, and the signs are right there if people are paying attention. So I end the video here. Call Allah Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushai Ba'Shem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Salutation to you brothers pushing this word in truth and sincerity. Until the next video, shalom.